Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Gilna the Spanish Guy. On this video, we're going to be learning how to do double exposure on Snapseed. So one of the reasons you might want to do this, and one of the things I'm going to be going through my video, is basically how to have a different background than what your current background on your photo is. So we're going to basically change your background, but we're going to keep the image of yourself or whoever it is the same. So you can think of it like a little bit of Photoshop. With double exposure on Snapseed, you can actually do a lot of really cool things. So this will be kind of like part one of my double exposure videos about Snapseed and how to use that tool for some cool effects. So with that being said, we're just going to quickly jump into our tutorial. So here we go. All right, so let's start up. So you can open up Snapseed and you can go open, and then you can choose the photo that you want to use, where the subject is at. In this case, I'm going to use this one here of me, okay? And what you can always start off with is just editing your photo first. To do that, you can always, if you want, you can always add some filters, okay? So these are just already pre-made filters that the app already has. I always just like to just go current or just neutral, okay? But again, there's a lot of different things that you can do here. You could play around with it afterwards, okay? But yeah, for me, I'm just gonna go into my pencil icon. If you're on an iPad, it'll be on the right-hand side. If you're on a phone or mobile device, it should be probably at the bottom, okay? And we're gonna go to Tune Image. Okay, with Tune Image, you can move the slider left or right to change the brightness, okay? And then if you want to go to the next setting, you just got to move up or down. Okay, so up or down. And once you selected the next one, again, just move to the left or to the right. And that will basically change those settings for you. So I'm just going to quickly edit my photo. I always will recommend this before jumping straight into your double exposure. That way your subject looks nice and pretty, okay? And then, yeah, it just looks much nicer at the end, okay? So we're gonna add a little bit more warmth so we're in the sun. And I will be doing a little tropical photo for this background. Details, basically just more, just finer details. Basically, if you go all the way up, you can really see how much that sharpens things, okay? You can hear smooth things out quite a lot, okay? So I'm just gonna go just a little sharp, that's about it. Or structure, and then sharpening, I just usually leave it the same, okay? So now that we have our main touching up done, we're gonna go again on the pencil, and what we're going to do is that we're going to go here to double exposure, okay? So we're gonna click on this, all right? If you're on a mobile device, just scroll to the bottom, it should be at the third last one. And with the double exposure tool, all we're going to do is that we're going to go open an image, okay? So, and now what I would recommend is you can go on Google, and I, for myself, just chose beach background, and you can just pick whichever one you want. In this case, I chose this one, okay? So this is the one I'm going to be using, okay? And you can sort of see how, as soon as I insert it, it's sort of see-through. Okay, so in order for the beach to look just as the picture that we took off the internet, we're gonna go to transparency, and we're gonna move that slider all the way up, and you're going to fade away as if you've been Thanos snapped. Okay, so we're gonna get check mark, and then when you're done your check mark, you're gonna be gone, and only the photo that you chose from the internet will appear. Okay, so don't worry, you're not gone yet, you're just in the background. So what we're going to do here is at the very top corner, again, it might change if you're on a mobile device or on an iPad. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to click on our view edits. Okay, so you can see 3 stacks. And what happens here is that on your bottom corner, on the right side, you're going to basically have a history of everything you have so far done in your session. So you go to your original, here's original photo, okay? The next thing that we did, we had tuned the image, okay? So it looks slightly different, okay? Made a few colors pop, just kind of cleaned it up a little bit. Then we added some detail. And then the last step that we did is that we added a double exposure. Okay, so what we need to do from here is that we click on double exposure again. It gives us three little options. One, we can trash it, okay, and this would basically remove this picture. It would basically go back to this level, okay. So we don't want that, obviously. We want to keep it. Second one that we have here, I'm just going to talk about this one real quick. Okay, these are like the sliders. So here is basically our double exposure menu. Okay, so let's say, for example, you were doing double exposure and you totally forgot about the transparency. Okay, here, if let's say this is how it's supposed to look like when you first upload the photo. So let's say, for example, you go ahead, you click yes, and then like, oh shoot, I didn't do it properly. Well, you can go back into this stack, into the view edits, and then you can go and actually change your transparency. Okay, so in case you mess that up, you can have that there. Okay, now what we really want to go to is the middle one, where it's kind of like a little paintbrush. Okay, so what we're going to do here, this is where it will allow us to paint our double exposure. So you can sort of see that it went back to our original image, okay, or I guess our image that was edited, okay, before we went double exposure. And what this will allow us to do is that wherever you draw on your hand or using any devices like a pencil that you may have, you can actually color in and fill in the entire picture that actually has our background too. Okay, our original image will get covered, and I'll show you guys in just a second how it looks like. So once, let's say if you were to finish, well, obviously we're not done, but let's say if we wanted just to look at what we've done so far, we click at the check mark, and here we are on almost the beach. We are sort of being sort of slightly or sort of transported there. Okay, so we haven't fully materialized yet, so we still got a few work ahead of us to finish it off. Okay, but that's how you do it. So I would always suggest that you color in, and then before you move on to any other step, okay, if always click the check mark, and what that does, it kind of sets up a little save point. So what I mean by that is that sometimes when you're like zooming in and doing a bunch of stuff, sometimes your fingers might accidentally go on the part of the image that you want, and it sucks because there's no undo button here. So if you were to go yes, you can sort of see that now our image is kind of ruined. So I'll quickly show you two ways you can get rid of that. First way is we can decrease the amount of double exposure, and we can actually color in our original self. Okay, that's one way. Okay, the other way is obviously if we, let's say, for example, we mess up, like, oh shoot, I messed up. Oh no, what am I gonna do? Well, instead of going back and forth, you can just click exit and then just go back into our original photo. It won't save. So this right here is like a nice little checkpoint. So yeah, I would say use it. All right, so oops, so see, you can just color it back in. Okay, so now the most tedious part that we're about to do is actually going to be filling in the rest of the picture with precision. Okay, so a lot of people they would just kind of do very sloppy edit, and they'll do kind of something like this, and it's just really sloppy. Okay, and it won't look very pretty. I'll show you guys in a second. Okay, it's just gonna look like that, and obviously that's not what you want to look like. It looks like you're getting Thanos snapped. Okay, so the way we are going to do this, okay, I'm just going to quickly redo this part. Okay, so the way you're going to do this is you're actually going to zoom in. Okay, so once we are back to here, okay, we're going to just go 100%, and we're going to use both fingers. Don't ever like pinch to zoom with one finger, because what's going to happen is or even like move around. You always want to use two fingers, because if you move around with one finger here, you're going to actually draw on your picture. So I've made so many mistakes like that. So try to avoid that. Use two fingers to move around. Okay. What we're going to do is basically going to zoom in as much as you can. Okay. There's going to be a point where you can't zoom in anymore. And now when you use your finger, or in this case my pencil, I can actually color, or I guess fill in the double exposure part that I want, okay, with very good precision. Okay. And then if you look at there, at the right corner, voila. So it's a very nice little outline. Okay. So that's the most tedious part of this whole thing about this double exposure. Okay. If you want to make it look nice and pretty, you got to really just zoom in and do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just fast forward my video. I'm going to do the whole thing myself. So you guys can see them fast forward, and then when we're done, you can see the final product. Okay, so see you guys in just a second. All right. So now that you are all set and done, and have finally finished outlining everything and coloring everything in, your photo should look something like this without me in the picture. So a little piece of advice that I found this after I actually took this photo is that I probably should not have used a clear cup, because what happens is that because of the clear cup, you have my current background, and it doesn't matter if you basically if you try and fill that in, it just won't work. Okay, it's just gonna give us the background of the sky, and I'm not really drinking the sky. I'm just drinking some water. So I'm just gonna undo that right there. Oops. Okay, so yeah, try, if you're doing something like this, make sure that none of your things has a see-through thing, because then you can't really fix it. So yeah, and that's about it. So there you go. A cool way to do kind of a little background of your pictures. So especially during this quarantine time, you can't really travel to places. So now you can, technically speaking, could travel wherever you want to, and tell your friends, hey, look where you went, with your cool new backgrounds. So what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to actually teach you guys a second method how to do this. Both methods work just fine, but there is a little trade-off. So I'll quickly show you. So I just open up another image, and this time I'm actually going to I'm going to start off with my background first. Okay, so different backgrounds, or same sort of beach theme. And what's going to happen is that instead of me going straight into editing, I mean, I could edit if I wanted to, right? It's just going to change this. Okay, but the trade-off of doing it this way with your background first is that you actually cannot basically adjust yourself in the picture. If you wanted to adjust your picture first, you would have to first open the image that you want. Okay, you would have to basically tune it however you wanted to. Okay, and once you have tuned it, you would have to then save it. Okay, oh, so I'll just quickly do an example. Let's say just so it's a bit more visible for you guys. Let's say I'm just gonna do black and white just so you guys can see. So I'm gonna just save it. Okay, so I just save, modify. Okay, so let's say, for example, starting off with this picture first as the background. Okay, so you can't modify your picture. So you would have to first go into your own picture, modify it, save it, and then under the new open Snapseed, when you go to double exposure, then you can select that photo that you basically edited. Okay, so it's a little bit more of a two-step solution to that if you wanted to edit yourself. Now you might be thinking, well, what's the point of having my background come in first? Why can't I just do my picture first and then do the background like you did the first time? So the only difference here is that you can actually do something really cool, which is you can actually adjust yourself. So if you notice, my last picture was quite huge. So I was basically taking a lot of my photo, or I was taking a lot of room in my photo. So if you ever wanted to change your size, you would have to choose the background first, and then you can change the size of your other photo. Okay, so I actually can't change the size of my palm trees and my beach here. It's that size only, but I can change myself. Okay, and then I can just go opacity. Okay, the difference here again, once you do that double exposure, it's going to show the photo that you imported. And we just go to view edits. Okay, same step here, choose the middle object, but now this time when we do that, it should only be your beach photo. Okay, and what we will be doing is we're actually going to be drawing yourself in. Okay, and that's it. So a little bit opposite. You might actually find it easier highlighting or outlining yourself this way, and then basically coloring yourself in. But this way you have a smaller version of yourself in this photo. So that could be a second way you can do this. If you find yourself that maybe you took a photo of yourself and it's a bit too big and you can't adjust yourself, you can actually use this method just to shrink yourself and then fit more things in the photo. Okay, and that's really about it. So I'll leave you guys to that. Hopefully you guys can find some really cool backgrounds that you can fit yourself into. And like I said, this is going to be just episode 1 of double exposures. There's so many more things you can do with double exposures. So I will be teaching you guys that in the next coming week. So make sure you are subscribed, hit the bell icon, and you can see all the cool content coming your way. Okay, thanks for stopping by, and hopefully you learned something cool. Anyways, have a great one, and yeah, see you soon. Bye.